Welcome back to College Football 26, episode number 38. The end is nigh, but we finally hit a massive turning point in this series. Potentially. We finished in the top 5 this last season and took a massive jump from 3-star prestige after temporarily hitting 3.5 one season and seeing really good results from having that happen. But then we slip back down to 3, but we immediately jump back to 4. We get all the way up to 4 stars after this top 5 season. Is that going to be the turning point that will see us get the number 1 recruiting class potentially comfortably and be able to finally get that national championship? We are a regular now for the playoff. It's not going to take much more, just a little bit more quality, and that national championship could be ours. Let's begin with those that are leaving, and well, there's 3 juniors that want to head to the NFL, first or second round picks, and there's no hope of saving any of them. After that, though, not major losses. Most of it are juniors, actually, so it's not going to hurt too bad losing them, though I wish Dexter wasn't leaving, especially when who is he backing up? It's Mayava. Mayava's headed to the NFL, so we're losing our number 1 and number 2 halfback for the year. That's going to be a problem once again. It's about the 3rd time in the last 4 seasons that has suddenly become a big problem for us. And not one of the players decided to stay, so yeah, this is going to hurt a fair bit. That's 4 key guys gone, and then from the graduating class, we've got a 90 in left guard. We got a 94 at right tackle, a 91 at right guard. Both of those guys headed for the draft. Not too much otherwise, though, from the graduating class. So, yeah, we definitely have some losses to replace. But compared to some other years, numbers-wise, it's a lot fewer. It's just quality-wise, it's going to hurt a fair bit. It's only 7 guys drafted. It's definitely not the most we've had, though over, 30 years, it's still top 3, top 5. In terms of the most players drafted. But the bigger thing is that 6 of 7 are a 90 plus. That 4 of them are in the first 2 rounds. That level of high-end talent we haven't had before. And that's the part that's going to be a little difficult to replace, especially when half these guys have gone a year early. I did secure a level up, so our left back whisper freshman and sophomore linebackers progress faster is definitely going to be helpful. Timing is pretty well off for that one to help them develop during the offseason here. Well, getting an update on the grades, they've got us top of the charts as a championship contender all of a sudden. For program tradition, a rating that was quite low not long ago at all. Well, we now have 10 playoff game appearances, and that's really picked up our score in this category quite a bit. We're up to 40th, and you can see we're closing in on getting a full-on B rating there, so it's no longer hurting us but helping us in recruitment. Campus lifestyle, though, is and always will be. They've got us dead last, but luckily a C- is the lowest that goes. Apparently being on a college campus is going to have at least somewhat the same experience across the board. Stadium atmosphere, I don't know why we can't seem to pick this one up. I mean, we are up to 97th now, but I feel like last time we checked on this, we were maybe 107th. We've only moved up maybe 10 spots from where we had been. Our home winning percentage has gone up a lot, from low 40s to now 55%. Our home attendance percentage has gone up a lot, from about 50% to now almost 80%. Our team prestige has gone up. I'm not sure why our stadium atmosphere is still so poor, and after 30 years, we still can't get people to come out and see us. Even though we've been a regular in the playoff recently, we still can't fill our stadium. That's just crazy to me. Right now, we're bringing in an average of 24,000 people. Now, of course, this is long-term, comparing many years, so I'm guessing that we're probably putting more like 30,000 plus, but still, I guess that's small compared to what I'm used to. I'm used to the one of the smaller stadiums out there, which still seats about 58K and is the loudest stadium, just partially out of design, and the fact that screaming "oh" continuously is a lot easier than just screaming the letter. Singing a note works really well. Notoriously the loudest, if not one of the loudest stadiums, despite the size. Certainly the loudest for size, right? You got those 100K stadiums like the Ohio State. They churn out a very similar volume. We do it with 40K less people. Brand exposure, big fix there, right? We went from non-existent a short while ago to suddenly we're up to a B. We are up to a B. We've had lots of national TV games played and won. In fact, we've done really well with that. We won 172 out of the 230 appearances. But the streaming games, like, that's dropped down so much from where it was. And we've done Game of the Week a few times. We've done the playoff games. Yeah, we're making some progress with the brand exposure. Academic, of course, yeah, it's bad. Conference prestige, of course, doesn't change without movement of schools, and I'm definitely considering it now. We've suddenly won the 5 championships for the conference, but we're suddenly in a good state, in a good position, and 4 stars, and I think we can win the national championship where we're at without going through another massive change. Coach stability is back to fairly comfortable, though that became a temporary problem as we lost our coordinator to the NFL at the end of last season. Coach prestige overall, like that close to an A. I'm back up to an A+, but it's those coordinators that are holding us back a little bit. And the athletic facilities. Don't understand why this one's not really climbing. It's finally gone away from a D to a D+, but we're still 91st. We are a 4-star prestige program, yet we cannot get better athletic facilities. 4-star prestige, and we still only have a D+. So far, there's only 13 signatures. It's down from previous years, but that was because we had dropped back down to being a 3-star program. Cochran here is close, and then Ishmael is favorable. I think we should be able to get that one. But that's it for 4-star and above. So just 15 out of the high school class that are 4-star and above. And then we have just our filler 3-star guys. This year, a very small subset, just 6 of them that we're getting after onto the transfer market. Let's fill those gaps. Let's get that halfback replaced. In particular, we're going to need a good wide receiver out of the transfer portal as well. First week of off season, and we've got our first signing already added to the class. Cochran, he was pretty close though, 4-star wide receiver, high schooler. From that small group of 3-star guys, we got our center Upshaw out of that group. This is week 3, by the way. 4-star right edge Hawkins has signed. That's our first transfer recruit. 4-star right guard Romo, I believe also from the transfer group. Definitely feeling more bold now that we have that 4th star, and it's showing. We are battling and winning. I've got 5 battles. I started this offseason with maybe 8, and I've only had to get rid of 10. I've only had to get rid of half of them where we weren't going to win that battle, and in the case of 2 to 3 of those, that first week we weren't on their initial list, so we were starting from quite a ways behind. We might have covered some of that gap, but it wasn't going to be enough to ensure that we could get there. Now, we have 5 left, and I feel pretty confident that we can get most, if not all 5. There's a decent chance that we could lose one. I mean, we just passed Pitt this week, and that was with a visit, but this one, we now have the pitch, the clutch pitch that's going to help us out there, but one of those playing time is not a good grade for him, and that's what he was wanting. He's going to play, but he's not going to be the starter, and it's his senior year, so there is still a small chance that he will commit to Pitt. This one, we're way ahead. We almost hit the line on the commit, but Tennessee has a visit this week. They're going to cover some ground, but we also have a good pitch for that one. Here, Michigan's chasing. Michigan is absolutely chasing, but I found the right pitch this week, and so it'll be a better recruit level than we had a week ago, and he's not visiting Michigan this week, we might be able to hold them off. That one's going to be awfully close. That I think is the most likely to lose and flip. This one looks pretty good though. We're comfortably ahead, and we're getting a visit this week. And the last one, we just had our visit this week, but without a visit coming for Pitt, we should be able to hold them off. And when all is said and done, I've spent all the hours that I can spend, and we are getting so many hours as a 4-star prestige program that I still have 245 left. I'm going to go ahead and go through and scout, which I've been doing the last couple of weeks anyway. Where I'm starting, though, is those 3-star high school recruits. I'm almost through that list. I want to make sure that none of them are a bust, because if they are a bust, I don't care how close we are. We're going to go find somebody else. Well, we did miss out on one of the 35. That was the one where Michigan was chasing, and actually we were fairly comfortably ahead, but it pushed into a recruiting battle. They were just close enough to make that happen, and then he just, because there's no further weeks, he ended up picking Michigan over us, even though we were actually ahead, but we weren't far enough ahead to claim him outright. But it's okay. I was pretty deep at offensive line recruitment-wise this season, so we're okay. And he was kind of one for the future anyway as a sophomore. Now, of course, the changeover late from 3 stars to 4 stars helped the transfer part of our class. It bumped us up a little bit. Not quite enough to get into the top 5. Definitely not quite enough to get the win. Not enough to compete for any 5 stars. The 5 stars were come and gone quite a bit earlier. We got one of them this year. We also got 21 4-star recruits and a dozen 3-star recruits. So it's still a very good class. 22 out of the 34 are 4-star or better. The 3 stars, at least 10 of the 12, if not all 12, very, very highly ranked amongst 3 stars. So even those were of our top end variety just a few seasons back. So it's a really good group across the board, very high rating. And I'm going to be looking to have the number 1 class next year. That's my goal. That's my aim. We'll see if we can pull it off. Can we compete for 6 5 stars? That's still questionable, because even though we have those 4 stars, I don't have coach bonuses to recruitment that other programs have. We still haven't been able to crack that upper tier where you get the big bonuses to recruitment. So it's still a little bit harder for us to recruit compared to others. And I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be pushing us up that much higher. Top 5? Sure. That 1 to 2 more 5-star recruits. Yeah, we're going to push them on a little bit quicker. But we don't have and never will have the major bonuses, or at least I don't think we will. I mean, we only have a couple seasons to go here before I'm totally out of time and we'll not be able to record any more episodes. So, it is what it is with that part, but it is a top 10 recruiting class, with most of the class coming off of being a 3-star program. So worked out pretty well. Whitehart's the top guy, and then we've got 2 linemen, halfback, and a tight end to go with Whitehart, which is the middle linebacker himself. That's a big addition. We've been hurting at linebacker the last couple of years, recruitment-wise, just a little bit. Only a single athlete. He's got a really low rating up front. I think he was center? No, this is clearly a defensive tackle. Nowhere else for him to go. We'll get him slotted in there right away. I'll have a little bit of balancing to go, but we are in that year where we're now going to have the offset. I'm getting kickers every 2 years. So we've got seniors, sophomores, and true freshmen. Really, the only problem I have with the roster this year is it's really well balanced. I've barely had to move anybody, and it was, moving one guy from right guard to left guard. That was it. I didn't even have to really swap positions at all. We have good depth, good top-end talent at every position. The only position that has the issue is quarterback, and that is a lack of depth at quarterback. We have a true freshman behind our 95 overall junior quarterback who's certainly going to be going into the draft after this season. This is feeling like our best chance this year. If we get some good off-season development here in a moment, we are going to be incredibly talented at every position, deep at all but one position. As long as our quarterback stays healthy, we'll be great. And Boulay will, redshirt the year as a result, and come back next year. He should be fine. I don't think he's worried about playing style. So yeah, he's not going to worry about that. He'll be happy with what we have here, and Cody is looking real good already before we even get to development. But how much better will he get? He could be maxed out. Well, there's Cody right off the bat. He did have some room for improvement, not a ton. He's now a 96 overall, but there's a right guard right behind him at 94. And here's our deepest ever year on 90 plus. We've never gone off that visible range of the page, right? We got down to about here 2 years ago when we were at 96 overall. Now we got another like 4 guys at the 90 plus, and then there's your 89s where you add in quite a few more. There's your 88s where you add in a ton more. There's your 87s. We still haven't even broken out of the 85s yet. We've been a third of the way through the roster the last couple 3 years. We've been a third of the way through the roster when we hit an 85. We're past the halfway point, just barely, but we're past the halfway point down to the 85s. Yeah, we're looking good. We're looking real good for the year. The 80 plus, is it still at the bottom third? No, it's down to below the bottom quarter. So more than 75% of the roster is in the 80 plus range. In fact, there's not even an 80. That's at 81. And then a good amount of 79, 78s behind that. The 75 pluses get you right down to the last handful of guys. In fact, if you exclude the 74s, we're talking about just 3 players that are 73 or below. Just 2 players at 71 or below, and just a single player, a redshirt freshman tight end, who is not a 70. Yeah, I'm liking how we're looking right now, quality-wise. On paper, this is our best team. And there we go. We enter the preseason ranked 6th in the nation at a 97 overall. It is our best rating we've ever had. The offense chimes in as a 99. First time we've hit that mark. Defense not quite there. It's at a 96, matching the best we've ever had on that side of the ball. But this is our best shot yet, folks. This is definitely our best shot. But we've seen teams that were comfortably 99, and then you get to that playoff, the bowl season, and it restructures and stretches, and all of a sudden they're only a 96 or a 97. This is still not the best team on paper. There are still better teams in the country than what we have. We also have a new offensive coordinator. There are still question marks lingering over this team, but it's our best shot yet. Non-conference schedule, always the big concern. We have Indiana at home. They were 4-8 a year ago. We have Purdue at home, 3-9 a year ago. Easy home games for the non-conference. We also have FCS East, but we have a massive road trip to Ole Miss. They start the preseason 15th. They were 10-3 a year ago, and we're on the road for that one. That's a tough game. That is absolutely an obstacle. Memphis Navy on the road should not be a problem. Rice, they've slimmed back off from where they were. They were just 5-7 a year ago, and we should run the conference table. But without a game against Tulane, they could run the table, and we could be ranked first in the country and still end up having to go travel to Tulane for that American Conference Championship. However, at the very least, we should be 11-1, 8-0 in conference. Even if we lose that game to Ole Miss, we should be comfortably ranked about where we're at now, if not better. Meaning, we should be able to, regardless of what happens in the American Conference Championship game, win or lose against Tulane, assuming that it's Tulane. That's an assumption that we both get there, but it's a fairly safe one. Assuming that we both get there, win or lose, there's still a very good chance that we both make the playoff. I don't know what their non-conference looks like, but they haven't lost a game outside of to us in quite a few years. In conference, at least. So we very likely are headed to the playoff, regardless of what happens with that championship game. And really the only obstacle we're facing is whether we can beat Ole Miss on the road. Been a quick and ever more comfortable 4-0 start to our season. 45-24 in the opener to Indiana. And then 48-32 Purdue. The offense showed up. They were good, but not fantastic. Defense showed up. They were good, but not fantastic. And we started our conference slate by going to Memphis and winning 63-7. And then Navy, 65-0. Huge blowout wins. Very, very dominant performances. Things that you really only see from the best teams in the country. Next up is FCS East, so that's an easy 5-0, but it is Ole Miss after that, who are undefeated so far and into the top 10. We'll have ourselves a big battle on that day. They are on the road. We are on the road, that is. I am swinging for the fences a little bit this season when it comes to recruitment, but the first thing that stands out to me is when I go all in, it's the first 12 players on my list that I've been able to go all in on at 3 stars. But jumping to 4 stars, adding not just a half star but a full star, we add 200 additional hours and have enough to go after 4 more players, max effort. So suddenly 12 becomes 16 targets, and more guys are interested in us. So that all in, swinging for the fences part is I have, 6 5 stars that I'm going after. And I'm accepting the battle. I'm accepting that I might lose some of these. Michigan, the closest contender on Bradbury. But we've got a good lead on Figueroa with only one other contender. Regis, we have a good, healthy lead there. I'm just starting to be able to flip some of these guys off of Send the House and onto that hard sale. But we're looking pretty good for some of them. North Carolina's coming strong, though. They've got a massive pipeline tier bonus. It's North Carolina. Football-wise, that is not a powerhouse. They've had a handful of good seasons ever. It's not a high-prestige program, yet they can still coaching bonuses. They're getting a pipeline tier 5. Our Ohio pipeline is tier 3. That's it. That's all we're mustering. It's just insane that programs so much weaker than us are able to just sweep right in underneath us and take recruits. But of those 6, it's looking pretty good. We should be able to get 3 or 4 of them, and that's going to be a very good class. Now, is that number 1? No, we've been seeing other schools grab 6, and I'm not sure we're going to grab 6. Right? I don't think we're going to get all of them. Then maybe we get 5, and maybe we have a really, really good 4 tier behind it. So, maybe, just maybe. Right now, we're looking at 27 targets, 4-star plus. And our first commits are going to be coming pretty soon, including we've got a couple gems at the top of that list. Well, for the second time this season, and I don't know what it is, we've had temporary boosts, temporary bumps. Maybe it's the offensive coordinator and his play calling bonuses. I don't know what's giving it to us, but we are on 99 across the board overall this week as we head to Ole Miss, who's an 89 overall. We're on the road. We're both in the top 10. This is probably a 50-50 game if we're calling the 10-point reduction in quality. We've also got our first recruit of the season committed this week, 4-star right tackle Deaton. There's more. 4-star defensive tackle Hepburn. We come away with a 1-point victory, 42-41 on the road. Ole Miss, they only slipped to 11th in the rankings. We only move up to 4th, though. But that is still great. We should be able to run the table from here the rest of the season. The next 6 should all be wins. In fact, looking at them, none of them have a better than 500 record except for Texas San Antonio. First 5-star commit of the class, Bradbury, wide receiver. That was what I was worried about losing. We got him. 4-star wide receiver, Boyce. Our next 5-star, weak side linebacker, Keogh. Riding in 4-star Foxworth, right tackle. I have no idea where we're at this point in the season besides being 8-0, but Cody was listed in the preseason favorites, the short list for the Heisman for the year. Suddenly, now that we have 4 stars worth of prestige, we are contenders for major awards. 354 yards, 4 touchdowns in this particular game against Army. I have no idea if he's still part of that competition. We've never won that one. We've won plenty of individual best player of position awards, but never the major ones. We do have one more challenge this season besides Ole Miss. We are, for one, back to our regular rating, our 97 overall, but Rice is 5-2, 4-1 in conference, and we're on the road. They're 76 overall. Pretty decent side. 80% chance, 90% chance that we win this, but it's not a given. It's just likely. Next 5-star recruit, though, Figueroa, tight end. Also adding in 4-star left tackle, Jackson. And 4-star halfback, Hodell. Through no fault of our own, except for it kind of is, our ranking has been dropping. We're 9-0 now, but we're down to 8th. The reason why we're down is we only have a single signature win, and we have a really easy calendar otherwise. Even beating Rice with their lower prestige isn't doing us much good. And it turns out that there's still 5 undefeated teams here at the top of the rankings. We've slipped behind Michigan. We've slipped behind Ole Miss. That's the frustrating one. We beat them on the road, and they're still ranked above us. Tulane, though, I've noticed, down in 18th, 7-1. They lost a game. Was it in conference or out of conference? Well, let's find out, because I am curious about where that's going to put us. Tulane is undefeated in the conference. So is Texas San Antonio. So we do have one more challenge ahead of us, it looks like, in a road game to finish out the season against them. This is the strangest occurrence I've ever seen in the game. A commit goes over the line, and instead of committing, they lock us out. 5-star quarterback Regis. We hit the commit mark this week. It was already down to a top 3. It was us, Pitt, Ole Miss. We had a healthy lead. Pitt had a visit on week 8. Ole Miss had a visit on week 9. I didn't even have to bother with the visit because I was so far ahead. I crossed the line. And they locked me out. It's not giving me a reason. There's no deal breaker, notice, nothing. Commit equals lockout. First time that's ever happened. Man, that sucks. This was the number 1 quarterback in the country. 5 stars. And he's decided he doesn't want to come to our school. Recruit Farrell Signs. I mentioned earlier I'm swinging for the fences, and I'm taking another big swing for the fences. That's a baseball metaphor for those who don't know the sport, meaning I'm trying to hit a home run here. Baseball metaphors more common for me at the moment, as I just spent the last couple of weeks glued to my home state, Seattle Mariners. Portland, but I'm like 5 minutes across the river in Washington, and we don't have a baseball team in Portland, or it's not Major League. The Seattle Mariners have never been to the World Series. They are the only professional baseball team that's never been to the World Series, and they were this close, and if not a godlike performance from 2 players on the Blue Jays, we certainly would have been there. And if not for a Game 6 fumble, repeated fumble, a few really bad pitches and a few errors on defense, some bases loaded, 1-out opportunities failing again and again and again. Oh my gosh, they got eliminated. I'm still heartbroken from that. It's already been a few days for me at the time of recording this, and by the time you're seeing this, it's already been like a week and a half. The World Series might be done by now. Anyway, that's where those metaphors are coming from. Back to this. What I'm swinging at the fences for, there's your connection. I'm not going to go for a single 3-star player. Not a 1. I will fill the gaps with the transfer market. Right now I'm targeting 24 guys, and I'm going to get all or most of them. If I can get 24 4 stars or better out of the high school class, and I will have the hours. I will get 11 transfer recruits. Will I get 11 4-star or better transfer recruits? Well, that'll be seen during the off season, whether that's possible. I have some gaps to fill. I have a few positions where we have a direct need. They will be my first targets in that transfer class to try to fill out, and then we'll fill in the gaps with whatever the best talent we can find. If we end up having to settle for 32 4-star or better and get 3 transfer recruits that are 3 stars, so be it. But I'm not going to go for the high schoolers. Not this year. 5-star wide receiver Manning completes our class of 5-star recruits at 5. We got all 6 to commit. Didn't expect that. Didn't expect 100% rate. Got it and didn't get it. Like I said, that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, to have a guy cross the bar, hit commit status, and then lock us out. Halfback Van Allen, 4 stars, also commits, and middle linebacker Cantwell commits. Thinking back on it, the only way I can see it happening and not being a bug is that we did cross the commit threshold, but we all crossed the commit threshold. And even though I had a lead, because of the visits of the last couple weeks, and because they just had better pulling power, and that's the nature of the beast and has been for a long time for us, that I somehow went from first to third. Legitimately went first to third by, falling from a bit ahead to just barely behind, as those two were like neck and neck, and somehow both of them passed me at the same time on the week of commitment, making me third, making a recruiting battle for the last 2, leaving us out. That's the only way it makes sense. Otherwise, that has to be a bug. And I think that makes a lot of sense, even though I felt we had it. We had it in the bag, but we didn't get it. Either way, we still got 5. 5 5-star recruits. And a couple gems behind them. Found another gem that we're in the middle of recruiting, a cornerback 4-star as of right now. And this is all because I have leftover hours and I'm not going after those 3-star guys. We are in the lead. 4 schools are after them. We got a little bit of a head start on them. We've also already scheduled a visit. I've not even been able to get past send the house, but I think by next week I'll probably have it. Playing time is the deal breaker and the only thing we have revealed just yet. By next week, I actually might be able to figure it out right now. It tends to be hard with 1. That's out. Playing time has to be one of them, and no 2X's. There's one possibility. That's out. There's a second possibility. So we don't know which one just yet. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer. Send the house another week. I'm already down to the last 2 guys on my list, which is now at 23. We have 1 player recruit commit elsewhere, but all 4 stars and above. I will have the scouting done with these guys the last few hours into next week. I'll have hours left. It's a waste of time, but if you have the hours, you try anyway. I'm going to try to set up 1 or 2 of those guys that are still out there that have a long ways to go in the recruitment process and see if we can do some chasing. Well, narrowing my search down to who's still open and 4 stars or better. There's 3. There's 3 guys total, and they're all wide receivers, and I already have 4 in class. Yeah. And they all have offers. They're all already getting started on that process, and while we can potentially beat them out, no, we're not going to put that pressure on. So we're sticking with 23, and I've got hours to spare. That's okay. At least I know there's no busts in the group. It is us and Tulane once again for the American Championship. They are in the top 10 right now at 9th. We moved up a little bit to 7th with our win against Texas San Antonio to wrap up season to go undefeated. We know that they've had 1 loss, but we do get to be the home team for this. So whatever the tiebreaker may be, and possibly it is ranking, we've got the edge. It's a really strange tiebreaker, though. 4-star middle linebacker Harris has committed this week. We've also added 4-star center Ungerer. Also only at risk of losing a single one of the 23 guys that we have left on the list. We're getting close to commitments from others. We're past the point of being able to do visits until you get into the off-season visits. We've got the 50 hours for all Clemson, I don't know how they're doing it. I know how they're doing it. I can see it right now. Pipeline Tier 5. We had a massive advantage on this guy on Cocker, but Clemson started putting 50 hours in about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, you could see that they are going twice as far as we are. We even had a visit just recently on week 13. But Pipeline Tier 1 versus Pipeline Tier 5. Massive advantage. They're going to get his signature. We're definitely losing that one, but we'll have, it looks like 22. Pitt's closing the gap on us on this particular athlete. Oof, we're not going to get all of them. We're going to end up getting about 20 of these guys, I see. I'm going to end up having to have a few, maybe 5 3-star recruits in the class, but it's still going to be almost entirely 4 stars. We'll be okay. It looks like we'll get 19 or 20. This season, Tulane's only an 84 overall. No wonder they took that loss in their non-conference schedule. They did go 8-0 in conference, and no wonder we're actually ranked above them. I mean, the prestige part helps a lot with that. We're both 4 stars, and we're undefeated, and they're not. But we're a plus 13 overall, and playing at home. We very much need to win this game. Good 90% chance of taking it. Tulane has always been a 50-50 or less than 50% chance. I think we've had a 60% chance maybe once. We finally come in firm favorites and get hammered at home. Tulane's beating us 54-28. We should still be headed for the playoff though. We're still inside the top 10, but we're not going to get a first round bye like we very well could have gotten. Tulane's suddenly 6th. They're not going to get a first round bye either. But we're also probably not even going to host. We're going to have to go on the road now, meaning we're more likely to lose. I was just sitting, just in the last couple weeks. Look up above, I've got 17 coins. I leveled up, decided to sit on it, say that we need 30 to unlock. That was going to require 2 playoff wins. And I felt like we had a real good shot at getting 2 playoff wins this season. Now I don't feel like we've got much of a shot of getting any, as we've lost home field advantage. Though, winning the first round's a little easier than winning the second round. Now we're going to get the opportunity to play in the first round. Woo! But we've got to commit in 4-star tight end Singletary. Any chance we had at the Heisman was lost there, and I wasn't seeing records. I wasn't seeing enough strong performances over the season, so I wasn't surprised when we didn't get it. But I'm very surprised that Boise State's quarterback is the one who's gotten it. They have not been that competitive of late. 5,000 yards, 52 touchdowns. Pretty good season. But have we gotten any awards this year? Tight end, VC. This is not our top guy. We just graduated our top guy. This was the next guy stepping up. Mid-80s. 681 yards, 7 touchdowns, 64 receptions for the John Mackey Award. We are headed for the playoff. It is an 8-9 matchup. Kind of right where I figured we'd be slotted in. With Auburn. On the road, though. We've had the better offense this season, but again, we've had the easier schedule. They are only an 89 overall. And we've held our 97 with our bowl restructuring. They were probably a 91, 92 and suddenly pushed down to an 89. We've been good enough to be, average and hold our rating. Talk about a late season collapse from 12-0 to the better team in both games that we lose, to lose the conference, to lose the playoff game. If we weren't on the road, we win this game. If we're at home, we win this game. We come up this close, that short, we end up 12-2. Auburn's beaten us, they move on. We've got a 12 seed winning the national championship this year, and USC upsetting Oregon. Yeah. Man, that hurts. That hurts even more. Our collapse after going 12-0 we had an easy schedule. Okay, we had one tough win on the calendar. That was it. We got it. But the Tulane one, we were better than both teams we went up against. Like, the odds were very much against us losing both of those games. And we end up losing a half star too. We've dropped to 3.5 stars. This is disappointing. USC upset Michigan. Auburn just barely beat us. SMU got the slight upset against Tulane. We saw that they were weaker, so I'm not too surprised by that one. Penn State barely hangs on for the win over BYU. All 4 games very close in the first round. In the quarterfinal, USC gets the upset of Clemson. Auburn over number 1 Miami. They were an 89 overall. Ole Miss was comfortable over SMU. Oregon just barely squeaking past Penn State. And then USC with the upset over Auburn, but in a 12-8 matchup. And we know how good Auburn was. It's not that surprising that USC is able to defeat them, where we have a very close 2-3 matchup in Oregon beating Ole Miss 45-42. And then the championship game, 35-33. Oregon just barely losing that one. What a wild finish to the season. Obviously, with the ease of the calendar, right, it was not a given that we were a proper 12-0 kind of team to then go on and, collapse the way we did there at the end. But that collapse, that particular collapse, just under the circumstances, that did hurt. That did hurt more than it could or should. For now, though, it looks like I'm going to hang on to my A+ prestige rating. We've almost gotten up to a 70% win rate career-wise, 235. How are we still only at 55% at home if we're at 70% overall? 19 winning seasons now. It's, I don't know, we're 30 plus years in now. 3-8 in the playoff, though. That's not a very good win rate. 8 conference championships. 8 first-round draft picks. 66 players drafted overall. And 1 top 5 recruiting class. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I don't know, man. That was... I'm encouraged by the recruiting class coming in. I think realistically, I only have enough time to give this one more shot, folks. So let's hope. We've got this big-time recruiting class coming in for next season. It's going to be a little bit harder in the transfer market now. We don't have the 4-star recruitment. We have 3.5, but we already know we can do pretty well in the transfer market, even with 3.5. I'm going to end up having to settle for a few 3-star guys. But if we can get 30 out of 35 are 4-star or better, with 5-star, we're going to have a top 3 recruiting class. We're going to get that second top 5 recruiting class. It's going to happen. If we can get some good juniors, seniors coming in out of this transfer market, I'm very optimistic for what next year can bring, and I'm going to go all in for it. We're going to be able to retain our coaching staff. I think we should be able to run the table, and depending on how Tulane is, get that next conference championship and go in with a bye to the playoff. But we got to secure a couple wins there. Just 3 all time. It's making it harder. But I'm running out of time here, folks, so I think we're about to come to an end. That's going to do it for this one. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.